just do a little brief introduction. DeAnna resides in Coal Grove with her husband Sean and 3 sons, and she's also most proud of being a Mimi to Knox and Skylar. That's what makes her smile most days and gets her out of bed, is thinking of them grandkids. She's a former school board member at Coal Grove and is one of our current Lawrence County commissioners. So she, along with the other fellow commissioners, have launched a program, and it's Project First Impression. She's working with all kinds of agencies and school districts and whatever through the county. So I'll let her finish her presentation, but we want to thank her for coming out and giving her time. And the time we get done, we'll have all kinds of volunteers and all kinds of helpers to clean up.
She is 100% correct about what she said about the Mimi thing. That is definitely why I get up in the mornings with a smile on my face. I never knew life could be so good until those 2 grandbabies come along. And they are my motivation on a daily basis, and a lot of the reason that Project First Impression is so important to me, because we owe it to our youth and every generation to come behind us to leave our area and our county better than we found it. So thank you so much for having me today. I love opportunities to get in front of strong women, and I know that this building today is full of strong, beautiful women, and I'm very grateful to get to spend my time with you here this morning. And I like to claim how smart I am. One of the things I'm best at is recruiting other strong women to help me through every aspect of my life, and I have 3 of those strong women with me here this morning, and I want to introduce them as well. We have Tommy Blankenship, and Tommy has spent her career in education and has always been a woman that empowers other women, and just is so giving of her time, just beautiful inside and out. I can say that about all 3 of these. Stephanie Helms. Stephanie is, again, another one of those powerful forces when it comes to women in the workforce. And she is the only woman at our Lawrence Soda Solid Waste District. And so she's the glue. She holds it all together. And your actual title is Education for the Specialist. Outreach. Yes, so we have Stephanie with us today, and then Miss Carla Salyers, another lifelong educator, and she too just gives of herself in every way that she can. Carla serves as a proxy for me on many boards that I serve on, and Carla is one of these people that I know she shares the same values and the same vision for our county that I have, and so when she's representing me in some of these meetings, I know that she's doing everything with the best interest of our county. So this team here represents Project's First Impressions educational piece. What we have done, we have taken Project First Impression, which is huge. I cannot even begin to put emphasis on what a big issue this is. And along with that, it has created so many other challenges for us, and one being litter and dumping in our county. It's monumental, and it's kind of, I think, an offspring of the epidemic that we're battling with the opioids. So because of the size of it, we have broken it down into some pieces, and so we've created a slideshow today, and we're going to take you through this. Now, here's what we want this to be. I think all of us would agree that we're not good at standing up and lecturing. Well, some of you may be, but this needs to be a conversation, and so I encourage you to interact with some conversation and throw your 2 cents in whenever there's something on your mind that you want to share. So we want to welcome you to the interactive Lawrence County Project First Impression, where no woman or man stands alone. Lawrence County facts, true or false? Let's just play a little trivia game here. Lawrence County's Wayne National Forest is the only national forest in Ohio.
Oh, there's another one.
True.
No.
True.
Okay. It's true. It's the only national forest. And so I did the same thing. I was like, no, there's another one, but that's a state forest. So Wayne National Forest is our only national forest in
So
Ohio.
you know these educators have the tricky questions.
They got me on the first one too. So, Tommy, you want to go ahead?
No.
Ironton is and has been the only county seat in Lawrence County. What was the first county seat? Burlington, yes, Burlington.
Lawrence County has the longest running parade to honor veterans in the United States. The key word there is longest running.
How many years? Do you know how many years? 150. So this is the 151st running coming soon. Yes, yes. So when we think about all of the, we've got one more, don't we? Okay. So our county was recently described as the trashiest county in the state.
Yeah, that's what I was talking
Yes, yes.
Is that true?
That is true.
Yeah, that was by EPA.
So, and we have some pictures to show you here of some of the sites that the Solid Waste District and the commissioners have been dealing with recently. And as Jody said, you know, there's a lot of things there that we describe that we can be so proud of, but there are things that we are not so proud of, that are shameful as well. And so recently Dan Palmer and I, the director of the Solid Waste District, was on a site where the EPA had came down and they were cleaning a tire site for us. And this particular one was probably the worst in our county and one of the worst that the EPA had seen. But what was so disturbing about this particular site was that it wasn't just tires. It was literally an open dump. There was trash, there were appliances and mattresses, computers, everything you can think of as far as household items. But then even sadder was the fact that there were approximately 1,400 needles discovered in this site as well. So as the folks from the EPA and I, along with Dan, continued to discuss litter and where we're going with this in society in general, because there's not a community that's immune to it. Everyone is battling this to some extent. But as we talked and I asked, how does Lawrence County compare with other sites in Ohio? They regretfully informed me that we were the worst, that we were the trashiest county that they have participated in cleanup events with. And so I was elected almost 2.5 years ago now. And one of my priorities when I was elected was to clean up our environment and deliver a better first impression. And so during the first 2 years, I was looking for that funding opportunity, because one of the things that I realized immediately, funding is scarce in our county. We're a poor county, and so we have to do more with less. And I didn't want to launch a program that was set up for failure at the very beginning. And so I kept looking for that funding mechanism, the right time and the right way to roll out a project that focused on this. And when that was said to me that day, I realized that the time was now. We can't wait any longer. Whether there's funding or there's not funding, we have to get this problem under control, and we can do better, and we deserve better than that. So this project is to bring people together and utilize the resources that we have. Okay, we're just going to go through some things as far as how we got here, and of course a lot of things are just obvious. Polluting state lands or waters, littering from a boat, open dumping and burning, throwing refuse, oil, filth into lakes, streams, or drains, littering and illegal dumping, and littering from a motor vehicle. So these are the obvious things that are happening, but where I think that we have gotten off track is that we have become so acceptable and somewhat we have blinders on. Until I started this project First Impression, I would tell you all along that we had a litter problem. But now that there's a focus on it, have any of you followed First Impression? And if so, are you seeing litter now in a different way than what you... I mean, it's not just that we have a problem. We have an epidemic. And so what do we do about that? we can pick it up and we can clean it up, and that's what's happening. We've got people out everywhere cleaning and picking up trash and all of that, but we need the Jodys of the world that have their eyes peeled for those people that are violating our lands. And we just cannot be so acceptable of this any longer. We have to, every single citizen has to feel empowered to take control of the situation. So we chose this song, This Is My Town, because this is how we feel. This is our town, our county. Where I was born, where I was raised, where I keep all my yesterdays. Mrs. Galloway, you said so many things in our previous session when we were talking about Appalachia, about family and where we came from. And you know, I just think to myself, how have we lost sight of that? Why have we lost sight of that? I think there's a lot of things that contribute to that. You know, I was just writing down some things last night as I was thinking about that. And I think a lot of it is just due to society in general. This area, we've suffered a tremendous amount of job loss, declining economy, the opioid crisis. But I think that when we think about things like this, we forget the emotional part of this type of loss in a county, and that's where our confidence gets stripped from us and our pride. And I think that that's one of the reasons that we have just overlooked what's around us in our surroundings, and we'll drive right past, you know, some garbage on the road, or we'll walk into a business that there's trash laying in front of their door and we just walk right past it. And I'm just going to say this, in the last month, I've had a lot of people that they're hearing about Project First Impression and they're like, oh my goodness, I want to get involved and I want to help. But let me just tell you about this area. So-and-so down here, and or this stretch of road or what have you. And so at first I was like, oh, okay, get me that address and I'll get somebody on that, or let me see what I can do about that. But I'm going to quit saying that. I'm going to start saying, did you pick it up?
Which one do you want?
Yes, yes. What did you do about it? Because it is all of our town. It's our family. It's where we live our lives. And so let's do better for one another. And you know, if you're not worried about what's going on over here for your neighbors, worry about what's going on in your own life and what environment we're creating. And so Project First Impression goes so much further than just the cleanup portion of it. The way we present ourselves, it gives us resources and tools when we're looking on a daily basis. Your commissioners are out selling your county to attract economic development, to increase our population. And when you're bringing potential business owners to Lawrence County, I mean, you know, the first thing they see is our roadways and the way we're keeping ourselves. So what inspiration do they have to really want to invest in our community? What inspiration do these young ladies here have to want to come home? We want to give you reasons to want to come home. And so just a little bit on the previous slide there about, I want to touch on our law enforcement and our judicial system just really quick. I'm so thankful that you have county officials in place right now that have these same values and that understand the importance of this. Our prosecutor, Brigham Anderson, despises trash, despises it. He has been on the same page that I have been on for years, and so he's very excited about this Project First Impression. But also, with that being said, he's really strong on prosecution of these types of offenses. So your judges, your municipal judges, Judge Kevin Waldo and Donald Capper, they're both really, really cracking down on the sentencing that they're giving for offenders. And then you have the commitment from your law enforcement that they're watching and that they're responding to calls, and they're really writing citations. We have an enforcement officer with the solid waste, and I was with him yesterday most of the afternoon. You know, we're just not going to tolerate this kind of behavior and this type of climate in our county any longer. So, as Dan Palmer said, I think on the news the other night, if you are an offender, if you're a contributor to this problem, I feel sorry for you because you're going to court. You're going to get caught and you're going to court. It's not if you get caught, it's when you get caught. We have a poster here that this is an ORC, and it talks about open dumping of scrap tires being an unclassified felony. But the reason we like to show this poster is because we want people to understand this seriousness of this type of felony. You can be fined $10,000 to $25,000 and incarcerated from 2 to 4 years. And, you know, in the past, there's been some leniency on some of these crimes and, you know, some probations and that sort of thing. That's not going to happen in Lawrence County any longer. Our judges are enforcing to the fullest extent of the law. So, you know, you may want to share this with people. If you know that somebody may have a problem, let them know the seriousness of the fines and the offenses that it's going to carry. Yeah, we do. We have the most beautiful landscape in the entire state of Ohio, and it's covered in litter. So we have to be showcasing those kind of things because people come back for that kind of landscape and beauty. First Impression, Project First Impression is a community journey of all people living better lives while also creating an ongoing effort to promote growth and opportunity through beautification and wellness in Lawrence County. This is our mission. This is the Project First Impression's mission. As Tommy was telling that story about traveling to Columbus, I feel like that's my second home nowadays. And you know, as I just hate that drive. I dread that drive. It doesn't matter how many times I make it. It doesn't get easier. It doesn't get prettier. It's just, I always dread the drive. And I've thought to myself recently, I want to get this house, this county, in such great shape that these state leaders want to start coming to Lawrence County to host some of these meetings, that I'm not constantly traveling to them, that they're traveling to me because, number one, Lawrence County is great and we have so much to offer, and I feel like we are an untapped resource for our state. We really are. We sit right here in this tri-state area and they have no idea what they're missing out on. But they're learning and they're figuring out because you have people all throughout the county, not just me, that's being elected to state boards and representing Lawrence County in many other ways through volunteerism and that sort of thing. But Columbus and the people in the northern part of the state, their eyes are being opened to Lawrence County. And that's why it's even more important that this project happens now, because we're going to start having a lot of attention and a lot of eyes here in Lawrence County. So that is one of my goals, is for state meetings to start being held here in our area because they're seeing the beauty. I actually, and I don't know what's going on with this, but I'm all excited about it. We play phone tag a lot in government. Yesterday, my secretary sent me a text and she says, "Can you call Senator Peterson's office? He needs to talk to you about Project First Impression." Project First Impression. I said, "Nah, I'm not going to call him." Absolutely, I'm going to call him. So we're playing a little phone tag, and actually I left a message this morning, but we'll talk. But, you know, the state EPA, they are so interested in where this project is going, what we actually do with this. That's the other thing with Project First Impression. Is it going to fall on its face? Is it going to be this 2 or 3 month thing where everybody's all involved and doing their part and then it falls on its face? It can't be. It has to be a 24/7, 365-day a year focus on how we're preserving our landscape. And so I know that people at the state level through the EPA, which Stephanie deals with on a daily, weekly basis, people in our House of Representatives and our senators, they're watching this to see what happens. And wouldn't it be wonderful if this project could be adopted statewide and we're the leaders of it? So that's another goal that I have. When we think about our homes, you know, we're protected of our areas. That's my home. And I'm not going to allow any of you to come into my yard and throw your trash down. It's the same concept. This is our county. Why would we allow anyone to come into our county or our space and litter. And so I guess, you just think of it on a broader scale. I want people competing with one another. I see us at some point having competitions to where we're rewarding areas and, giving prizes for the most beautiful areas in the county. And I just think this is so neat. This adds the fun to it. Get a group together and brainstorm on what you're going to do and how you're going to do it. And it doesn't have to stop with just litter pickup. I mean, you might get a neighborhood together and you pick a project at each person's home that you want to help them do. We have a lot of people that aren't able to do for themselves. And so when you get these teams together, it'll be unbelievable what can happen from it. And I'm excited to hear about those. I just want to say this. When we talked about not having funding and that type of thing, which we're working on that, maybe that's what Senator Peterson's calling about, I can only hope. But we're not reinventing the wheel. One of the things about Project First Impression is that, like I said, we're pulling people together, we're pulling resources together. So our solid waste department has had this sponsor a site for how long? I mean, years.
8 years.
Years. Some of you may have heard of it before, but most people are hearing about it for the first time. Now, that's not because the solid waste doesn't do a good job at getting things out or what have you, but they've just never had a focus on this before or a way to, promote it and have a louder voice. And so this has been around for a really long time. It's not been utilized. We've not had people, and we've also had people come and go, not just not sign up for it, but people that get all energized and I'm going to clean this area and then nobody else is doing it, so why should they be doing it? And I think that's kind of been the mentality. So along with Sponsor a Site in Lawrence County, we also have Adopt a Highway. This is a county issue or endeavor, more for county roads, township roads, private roads, and that type of thing. But the state of Ohio also has Adopt a Highway. And that's a state program to take care of our state roads. How many people do you think are already signed up on Adopt a Highway? Adopt a Highway's been around a long time too. I don't know how many years, but I'm sure as long as Sponsor a Site. How many people do you think is signed up? How many did you say?
That highway's been at least 25 Boy Scouts used to do it.
So it's been around a really long time. Yeah, it's not new. Anybody want to guess how many people you think signed up on it?
Currently active,
or-
we should say.
No, just in our county. Well, in our county, yeah. Three, Jody? What do you think, Miss Galloway?
That was a question, any in our county? That's your place.
Okay, so she's right.
None?
Zero. So that's a program that we have to grow. Now we can go online and fill out an application for that. If you need help with any of that, you can contact my office or the solid waste office, and we'll help you with that state program there. But so several of us, I always think that I have all these mottos in my life that I live by. But one is, actions speak louder than words. I can stand up here all day long and tell you all kinds of great things, but if I don't live and breathe what I'm preaching or talk the talk and walk the walk, then it means nothing. So I want our actions to speak loud enough that people are hearing us. As leaders of this project, we want you to hear us through our actions loud and clear. And so on Tuesday, a group of the elected officials got together and we cleaned on 52. We've kind of taken the Route 52 corridor on as our project since there's 0 signed up for it. And we cleaned in front of what we call Restaurant Row there in Chesapeake, and that's a real issue for us. We're working on some upgrades to that area now. But Judge Capper's Municipal Court had cleaned that same section of road there 2 weeks prior to us coming through and cleaning it. And I can't remember the number of bags that they got, but it was horrendous. It was unbelievable. But in 2 weeks' time, I'm going to give you another guessing game. How many bags do you think we collected after that cleaning that they had? 2 weeks, how many bags do you think we collected on Tuesday? 33 bags. 33 bags in 2 weeks. No, I'm talking about just in front of Restaurant Row. Just that stretch right there. Yeah. Now, we had crews cleaning. We have, like I said, taken the highway as a project over the last 2 weeks, and they started at the 650 exit there, and they came toward the Ashland Bridge. That was last week. And this week, they've concentrated from the Ashland Bridge on up toward the eastern end of the county here. And I think the count this morning was 812 bags of litter that's been cleaned on State Route 52 from Hanging Rock to Chesapeake. And even further, to go a little farther, cigarette butts is a big pet peeve of mine. And they're everywhere. They're everywhere. Dan Palmer has, he just does great things. It's amazing what he's able to get out of our state EPA and Keep America Beautiful and all these organizations. But he got some cigarette butt receptacles, and we've installed them all over the county, but the city of Ironton got several of those, and then we've put them in some of our county offices or properties as well. And so we're trying to really get a handle on cigarette butts. But if any of you have gotten on the ramp to go to Ashland from Ironton, to go across the Ashland Bridge, and if you've paid attention, I mean, it was just disgusting. I would almost say there were 1 million cigarette butts. I mean, it was just huge. So we met with Mark Glockhoff a week or so ago, and they're partnering with us and trying to stay real focused on this as well. So he got his street sweeper out, and they swept that area and some other areas there on 52. But within the first hour and a half, I think it was, they filled a dump truck. They filled a dump truck in that short amount of time. So I don't know, do you know, Stephanie, if there was a count on how many dump trucks we had that day? I just knew. I was in a meeting and Dan's texting me, and it was ASAP, and I thought, oh my gosh. So I step out to call because I thought something really bad was happening in the county, which it was something really good happening, but in the same sense it was really bad. But now I know that Dan's 911 sometimes can wait. But that's what he wanted to tell me. It was that short amount of time, and we already have a dump truck load that's being hauled. So
Does the Ironton still do the cleanup with the incarcerated people?
yes, we have municipal crews that are working probationers, and this push on the highway has been largely supported by the probation departments. And I can't say enough about Ironton Municipal. I mean, they have Vince Sheridan and Mark Harper that have these crews, and they take them out. And Mark sends me pictures daily, and sometimes it's one truckload, but they're always heaping bags. But most of the time it's multiple truckloads that they're cleaning on a daily basis. And another facility that's very vested in this project and cleanup is Star. And their inmates are helping with that too. So we've had them working on the highway here. Post stories, pictures of contributions to First Impression on our Facebook page. We do have that up and running. We've slowly rolled it out, but please participate and put your actions on our page there. We're going to have some Twitter and Instagram accounts coming soon, and I think even Snapchat for you younger. Okay, we've got to close up here. This happens to me every time. I mean, like, I could talk to you the rest of the day. Yes. So we've run out of time, and I anticipated we would. We never get a second chance to make a first impression, and that is just, so true. And we've got to make a difference. I'm empowering each one of you to take this challenge on and participate with us and make a difference. Please follow our Facebook pages. There's so much more to this project than what we've been able to tell you today. So thank you all so much for participating in this class.